In 1991, India was facing the verge of financial collapse. However, default was prevented and the crisis was utilized to transform the trajectory of India's growth. As a result, India has now become the fifth largest economy in the world and is on the way to become the third largest economy. Pakistan is currently experiencing an economic crisis similar to India's in 1991, with the country's currency, the rupee, reaching a historic low of 275 to the US dollar. Inflation has skyrocketed to over 27%, and the foreign exchange reserves have fallen to their lowest level since 1998 with just $2.9 billion available, which is not even sufficient to cover 1 month's worth of imports. Last-minute talks between Pakistan and the International Monetary Fund have not succeeded in securing the release of the vital $1.1 billion funds that were meant to prevent the country from going bankrupt. Pakistan's finance minister announced the country received a roadmap and discussed painful but necessary reforms. The IMF wants to see commitments and action before lending more money. The IMF team, which left Pakistan last week, said that considerable progress has been made after 10 days of talks and virtual discussions will continue in the coming days. Pakistan is undergoing hardship due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the increase in fuel prices globally caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, similar to the situation in Sri Lanka. The country is heavily reliant on imports. Pakistan's imports have seen a significant rise and exports have remained largely stagnant, widening the trade deficit in recent years. Pakistan's exports mainly comprise textiles and agriculture-related goods. Last year's floods submerged large areas, damaging farmlands and affecting food production and cotton production, which stalled the exports of textiles and food products. Basic food items like wheat and onions have skyrocketed in price. According to reports, about 7 million people working in textile industries have been fired from their jobs due to production disruption caused by shortages of raw materials. In 2019, Pakistan took a $6 billion loan as a part of IMF program, which was later increased to $7 billion in the following year. Pakistan is in its 13th bailout from the IMF since the late 1980s. Pakistan's persistent economic crisis are the product of its refusal to reform. Furthermore, poor relationships with neighboring countries like Afghanistan and India had restricted trade opportunities. For Pakistan to achieve prosperity, it must move beyond a conflict-driven political economy, but that seems to be a challenge at present. It is important to note that Pakistan, with its 220 million population and nuclear weapons, is a significant player in the region. If the current economic crisis leads to instability, the impact could be substantial. If the resumption of the IMF program is successful, it will also release billions of dollars pledged by Saudi Arabia and the UAE. This will delay the likelihood of its bankruptcy in the near future, but will increase the debt burden on the country. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here at the Digital Report channel. Please consider subscribing to our channel and liking it if you found this helpful.